M15, Leadership in the Evolution of Mobility. Sydney, Australia. Ed Stanistreet, General Manager, Toyota Fleet Management Australia. Managed mobility. Will fleet management organizations stay relevant in a full mobility setting? Ed Stanistreet explains that they will not merely be relevant, but will be essential.
I have been asked to talk about are FMOs, fleet management organisations, relevant in the connected mobility environment. And we do have 107,000 vehicles out there with $3 billion invested, so I hope I can answer that question positively, or I have a major problem. Just a little bit about the marketplace, but before I do, Shane said I wasn't allowed to talk about Toyota, but as everyone else has talked about Toyota tonight, I thought it was legal for me to do so from the perspective of a case study from our experience and where Toyota are as a representative OEM going forward. The fleet management industry in Australia manages over 700,000 vehicles, and the market is growing at around 6 to 7%, which is very reflective of the numbers that Mace put up early tonight. The plan is that, or the expectation is that will grow. There is increasing demand. How long that lasts for, with all of the discussions that have been had today, I'm not sure, but I still think there is significant opportunity for and the need for outsourcing of vehicle fleet management solutions in the future, and I'll talk a little bit about that in a minute. I think also we are reflective of the motor market in Australia. So we look after government, corporate, all the sharing organisations, which I call rent-a-car companies, all the car sharing, the ride sharing, taxis, and the Uber funders we are partnering with out in the marketplace today, small business and not-for-profit, and we look after cars for tool and trade vehicles and employee benefit vehicles, warehousing assets, distribution assets, trucks and trailers, and mobile plants. So we see what customers are doing with all of the assets across all of their needs and all their capabilities today. We don't yet have any push bikes yet, so we aren't a mass provider. I think a traditional FMO provides vehicles for a fixed term, normally 3 to 5 years, tailored vehicles to suit the application that the customer is looking for. The fleet owner is deciding the location of those vehicles and they are well suited for remote or specialised vehicles, so the customer is making most of the decisions in that area. From a future mobility point of view, there's going to be a need to provide vehicles as required rather than for long periods of time. There's going to be more need in the generic vehicle space for widespread use, less so than for specialised application, I think. And then the location will be decided by the mobility provider and not suited for remote or specialised vehicles necessarily. And as you know, all the manufacturers are working towards connectivity, their own solutions, one by one. And as Ron said, they're now looking to protect their data so that they can monetize it. So there is going to be an issue around accessing all the data that's coming out of the vehicle over time. And they are building proprietary technology that creates issues for people that have large fleets. And I think that's where the FMO role in integrating the multi-mark fleets is a genuine opportunity. And here's where I want to talk about the Toyota Group, because they are very worried about where this mobility piece is going. If you're building 10 million vehicles a year like Toyota does around the world, what happens when people start sharing vehicles? So Toyota do see the technology companies as being actually the potential competitors of them in the future. So what Toyota is doing is the motor manufacturing company used to be the parent that made all the decisions, and everyone underneath was limited by the mindset of the motor company. But they are building 4 key pillars across the businesses, and while the shareholding might be hierarchical, the decision-making and management decision-making is changing significantly. So the Toyota manufacturer is still going to manufacture vehicles, of course, but they put $1 billion into a company called Toyota Research Institute that is responsible for the autonomous and in-car technology, standing beside the motor company. So that's the product delivery side. On the service delivery side, Toyota Finance is now being asked to be the connected mobility provider. And the technology that supports that connected mobility is being delivered by an organisation that's, again, a separate organisation called Toyota Connected, providing technologies and data. So that's a significant change. So Toyota will look like a technology company in the future. And they are very fortunate at this point in time that they make lots and lots of money. So they are able to invest in these things to build capability in the future. As are many of the other motor manufacturers too, of course. So this is not just about Toyota, but I think this is where these organisations are going to head. I think, as we all know, the old fleet manager that operated the vehicles, the fleet manager used to provide all the information to the fleet manager, and the fleet manager would deal with their vehicle fleet, is changing. They want to be the strategic. They obviously are strategic partners today, but they are going to be a strategic partner, and they wanted all of this technology to drive capability without having to be operational within the business. So I think from a Toyota fleet management point of view, we have been on a journey over the last 14 years I've been there to go from a supplier and vendor to a capable financier across all those multiple financial products that people need, and then become a solid fleet manager so that fleet managers can outsource everything that they need, and then advice. So getting all the information together and being able to provide information in a concise and meaningful way to help customers make good decisions into the decision-making process, review and analyse, and then make next good decisions is what it's all about. And we've been on that journey for some period of time. And now the customer focus is connected mobility, of course, to deliver better data immediately for more accurate reporting that enhances your fleet utilisation and efficiency, safety and cost reduction, which we heard earlier today. Just building the products is just a part of the story. Creating our value proposition meant we had to build new skills and knowledge in the people that we have in our business, like the other fleet management organisations. They do bring skills and knowledge around tax, accounting, lease accounting standards, for example, managing vehicles and managing all of the operational activities around the vehicle's life cycle. I think this is a little bit about the architecture of what we're trying to build at Toyota Fleet Management. Having been over in the left-hand side here for a traditional fleet management organisation with a single database that handles a whole range of data, serving the customer through a range of portals and websites to the customer, whether it be a fleet manager, a novated driver, or dealers. But as I said before, a fleet manager doesn't want to be handling transactional or operational activities. So what we are building, and what many of the other fleet management organisations are building, are direct-to-driver capability through driver apps, which we've talked about today. We have our telematics, pool vehicle management capability, and also our car sharing and short-term rental capability. It's no more than 3 to 5 year deal. It's the old saying, 15 minutes to 15 years, we've got to have capability across that range. The benefit of still having the old monolith is that you can actually get all of that valuable information that you're getting from all this technology going back in and actually helping the customer continue to make better decisions over time. So what do we do with the telematics solutions? So the manufacturer, each manufacturer is building secure data and sending it somewhere. Someone's got to bring that data back in the right way. And I think that's where the fleet management organisation can handle the multitude of sources of data that are coming from all these different technologies. So I think we are still relevant to the fleet management space, because you're only as good as the formation of the information in a succinct and meaningful way so that you can actually make good decisions. Because the amount of data that we're going to get is just massive. Who's going to have time in a single business to manage that data? And I think that's where I think an organisation such as ours is going to be relevant in the future. So I think so the good news about the manufacturers building all this capability is it's going to be cheaper over time. So, but again, I say you've still got to get the data together if you've got more than one manufacturer as your provider, or you've got more than one asset class in your fleet. So that's going to be the challenge. And again, we've seen many of those key ideas that need to be managed: driver safety, improve vehicle logistics and efficiency, improve fleet utilisation for reduced cost, both operational and taxation-wise, and reduce emissions to come, of course. All of that information we need to have to enable us to start making those key decisions. So that's the summary. Thank you.